this a little bit before we actually get started. All right, a little bit better. Yeah. All right. Hello, YouTube. Scamp the Wolf here, back with another video for your viewing pleasure. Now, before we begin, tomorrow is going to be my 10th anniversary here on YouTube, and also on DeviantArt. But that's DeviantArt. That's not. I got a DeviantArt and a YouTube account on the same day, so I'm aiming to do a stream tomorrow for that special anniversary of that happening. So yeah, definitely be on the lookout for that. And I can't believe I've been on here for 10 years, doing videos and stuff. Um, I have yet to decide what I want to do for it because I know I'm doing some things tomorrow. I think I might be going to an escape room tomorrow, and I have media lab in the morning, of course. So yeah, just telling you guys what's up. So yeah, so that's basically what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. So, or what I'm aiming to do tomorrow. If not, maybe later in the week. But likely, it'll be tomorrow that I do everything. So anyway, on to everything that's at hand for this week. In music listening, this is coming a couple days late. New Devil Wears Prada album just came out. Color Decay, as well as a couple of singles. Um, some for last week, some for this week. New 10 Years of Non-Point just came out. Those two new songs. Um, and also last week there was a new song from the band Element 80 that came out. And I would like to tackle those, as well as some albums from like recently that I would recommend. Um, yeah, so the singles first off, all of them are pretty good. The new Element 80 Mountain is pretty good. If you like a sort of like sludgy kind of new metal sound, then definitely check out Element 80. They have a lot of good stuff from that. They are one of the better bands in new metal. Like, and it took them so long for a new album to get released, and there's no album, but they're making new music, so that's pretty cool to see. Mountain is a solid song. Definitely recommended. I do a thumbs up and thumbs down scale, so that's definitely thumbs up. Um, Non-Point with Paper Tigers definitely better than a lot of what I've heard from Non-Point over the past. I don't know how many albums, but the past three albums for sure. Sure, I barely heard the EP that they did. I didn't really hear anything from that. Might have heard some stuff, but not. I don't know. So, Paper Tigers is definitely a solid song. Kind of a return to form a little bit. So, thumbs up on that one. It's good. And the same thing with the 10 Years song. I'm not blown away by the 10 Years song, The Optimist, by any stretch of the imagination. I thought, 10 Years is a band that's kind of just going to trying to do the same thing over and over again, like kind of sort of, even though it's kind of lower tuning, a different tuning than what we're used to from 10 Years. This kind of sounds like Chevelle a little bit. Um, I'm not as crazy about the pre-chorus or anything, but it's okay. It's an okay song. I would like to see if there's anything better from 10 Years that we can get. Maybe not. They are an underrated band. Check out Feeding the Wolves and From Birth to Burial and The Autumn Effect, of course, if you want some good 10 Years stuff. Of course, like those two are their, not From Birth to Burial, but the other two I mentioned are their most popular albums. Definitely give those a listen. And as for albums that I did listen to before that came out like um, a while ago, I did listen to the new Destroy Rebuild Until God Shows album. Pretty good as well, definitely. Um, there's some good tracks, but the best tracks are the first two songs, Destiny and Satellites in Motion, and the last track, The Arm. Those are the two tracks that I think are really good. So that alone, 7 out of 10, or I'm sorry, 8 out of 10. My mind's a little confused. So yeah, on to the Devil Wears Prada album, which I know has gotten a lot of hype, surprisingly so, from this community, um, because of the fact that like it's a bigger name metalcore act, um, which is true. The Devil Wears Prada is pretty big. Yeah, and I did hear the songs before the album was released. I haven't really heard this album since I want to say Saturday night, I guess. Um, but yeah, this is a good album. This is definitely better than the act. And a little bit of a discussion about the Devil Wears Prada, like about their career a little bit before getting into like the whole entire album as a whole. The act was a little bit of a mess. I could see what they were going for with the album, but there were some good songs, like "Lines of Your Hands" was okay. "The Thread" was a pretty good song, but the rest of the album is just so like I don't really remember it as much. I look at the track list, songs like "Diamond Lost," "As Kids," even though you know, and there's a lot of songs I'm like, it's good, it's fine, but it's just like it doesn't grab your attention nearly as much. It just and the opener Switchblade is kind of disjointed a little bit. I think that's my op- opinion on that. Yeah, and I think the Devil Wears Prada has definitely matured past their heyday because you have to remember when they were like kind of innovating a different style of metalcore, like that was more like crazy or whatever. Like I don't really know. Like it was more of a scene style, but they were doing it well back in the day. And they're definitely not the same band that they were obviously as with these, especially the past three albums from them have been very different. Not super metalcore influence as much. I mean, Transit Blues and the Act kind of have that um with them as much, but they aren't as metalcore focused as like an album like Plagues or like Dear Love and Beautiful Discord or Dead Throne with Rouge Above and Braces Below. Those four albums. So yeah, and yeah, I think comparing it to their other albums, this is the most consistent that they've been since Transit Blues. I might actually like Transit Blues a bit better than this album, but this album is still pretty good. It's still it still feels important. It feels like many of the songs on this album feel like they're bigger and more like important than you know their last album. I guess they just have this big sound to them. This album does combine a lot of different things, rock and metalcore. And I think the rock side of it is actually pretty good. They could do it. You gotta hand it to songs like "Sacrifice" and "Watchtower." Those were two songs released earlier before the album came out. And "Salt," of course, which is a great song. Um, like shows their more rock tendencies. Like has a bit of a rock vibe Like, and they could do it. Like, kind of reminds me of like bringing up me the Horizon with Throne a little bit. Like, definitely good. Like the first four tracks on the album definitely seal the deal for me at least. Like Noise. I don't remember which one. It might have been Broken, which was more radio friendly. It sounded like a more radio friendly song. Like, it just goes to show like how mature this band is now. Like, and they're not making like garbage metalcore music. They're trying to stick out in the scene. They're not like a secrets type of band where they're trying to be exactly what metalcore is. They're not like one of those release radar, not release radar, like New Blood bands or something like that. I'm trying to think of what it is, like on Spotify. Um, uh, I don't know. I get a lot of generic metalcore that comes in through my release radar on Spotify. You know, and it's all just sounds a lot the same. Nothing really new about it. Like the Devil Wears Prada, even though they had a history with that, they're trying to push through and make solid music and be unique. Like songs like Time, even like as well, which is definitely a highlight. Has a good chorus and all that stuff. 25 is good. I will say that the album does slow its momentum a little bit towards the end with Fire, Hallucinate, and Cancer. A little bit. The songs still feel big and so they still feel new, but the appeal isn't there, or they do things that kind of like turn me away a little bit. But overall, I think this is still a much better album than the Act was. Um, I think I was a little too optimistic towards the Act when I initially reviewed that album. I didn't review it here, but I reviewed it on DeviantArt or whatever back when I was there. And I was nicer towards the album. Like it's not a terrible album. I dropped something. I don't know where it is. Um, yeah, the Act isn't a terrible album by any means. It's more just boring, like because it just doesn't really do anything. Like, it's not a generic metalcore album or anything like that. It just doesn't really do much. Like the experiment really didn't work as well as I would have liked. Yeah, yeah. So Color Decay definitely great. Definitely. If I had to give it a score, honestly, 8 out of 10. Definitely for sure, an 8 out of 10 for the new Devil Wears Prada album. Um, yeah, new comments from fellow commenter Zach D here. New two Devil Wears Prada albums good, and the first two Devil Wears Prada albums. Yeah, the first two Devil Wears Prada albums like aren't for everybody, but like for that time period in like scene style metalcore, like it, it yeah, I kind of do like it a little bit, like because this like my opinion is at least metalcore back in 2007 when it was like that. It wasn't like the same generic stuff that you get all the time now from bands like Secrets, which came out this year, um, and so many other bands. Like like yeah, bands like that. Like it wasn't like those times. Yeah, the vocals like yeah, not for everybody. Yeah, so that's basically it for this kind of music talk segment. So yeah, this is a part where it's kind of just free form a little bit, but I do have to do stuff. Um, I just wanted to come on here real quick and just say what I'm saying, I guess. Yeah, definitely go check out the new Devil Wears Prada album, and that's pretty much it for this video. So, any other comments you have, comment down below. This is Scamp Wolf signing out. Take care.